My name is Celia Richardson. I am now 37. I'm married to John and we have 2 children and their names are Henry and Huck. Henry is 4 tomorrow and Huck has just turned a year old, although that's his correct chronological age, not his corrected age. His corrected age would be 9 months. On the day that it happened, I didn't even know how pregnant I was. It wasn't in my head. I was somewhere between the 20-week scan, which I'd had quite recently, and delivery, where, you know, you're kind of trying to plan things like maternity cover and you know, you're just thinking about the future only very gently. So I was leaving the house to go to work and I slammed the door and my waters broke. And I was obviously aware that my waters had broken, but I was very confused about what was going on. But I was trying to calculate in my head fairly quickly how pregnant I was. And when I finally managed to get the counting done, I was 27 weeks, just on the nose, just turning 27 weeks that day. So I went into the house, my husband was there with our other child, and we phoned an ambulance and we went off to UCH. And there we were told my waters had broken, but there was no sign of labour. So I was told that the baby could stay in my uterus, would keep producing water, and my job was to try to keep the baby in my uterus for as long as possible, and they would be putting me in hospital to look out for signs of labour, but my job was to lie still. I was transferred hospitals because the hospital that I went to didn't have enough staff, because even though the idea was to keep me in hospital for the next few weeks, they had to be careful, because if I had delivered my baby, which most women whose waters break are going to deliver in the next 48 hours, they had to make sure that they could look after him, and they were too short-staffed at the hospital I was in UCH. So they sent us in an ambulance to Barnet Hospital, and that's where I started the process of what they call laying in, where you just lie still and you watch out for signs of labour. There was a woman in the bed next to me who'd been at it for about 9 or 10 weeks, and she was quite fed up, and I couldn't understand why she was fed up, because all I wanted was to know that my baby would stay there and I wouldn't go into labour, and she really wanted to go into labour by then. I think she was at about the 34-week mark and she just wanted to get on with it. But I lay there and I started making a list of books that I was going to read. I started working out how to have my oldest son cared for. Our nursery were fabulous. My child's in a local authority nursery, and they immediately said, don't worry about it, we'll get, because he was at nursery part-time. So I had to make sure that he had a full-time nursery space. So I was being very practical, but I also had to look out for signs of labour or infection. And within, I think, the day after my waters broke on the Friday, Saturday was fine. Sunday morning, first thing, I realised something had changed. The water was discoloured. A nurse checked on me first thing and said, there's meconium in the waters, this changes everything. So my baby had in fact managed to, I don't know what the phrase is, but he'd managed to excrete meconium into the water, even though they told me that it was probably too early for that to be possible. And he was in danger, so they decided they had to get him out by emergency caesarean.